Welcome back to Conversations at the Rock Bar. We're Darrell and Andrea, and we have an amazing guest for you tonight. I'm going to let Darrell talk about him because they have history.
We do. Goes all the way back to 2002. He is world-renowned ventriloquist Ronn Lucas. Now you're thinking to yourself, God, why do I know that name? You're going to find out when we do the interview. He's amazing.
Yep, he's awesome, and we're going to make his favorite drink right now. Super simple. Stick around, and then we'll join them for the conversation. Hey guys, okay, so tonight we're making Ronn Lucas's favorite drink. Super simple, very few ingredients. All you need is vodka and ice. He loves vodka rocks. All right, so tonight we're going to be making a vodka rocks. I have my glass. I have some fun ice cubes because, you can't talk to Ronn Lucas and not have a fun drink, right? So we're going to put a couple of these ice cubes in here to give it some color. I don't want too green. All right. So there's some ice. And Ron's favorite vodka is Tito's. So we're going to be using Tito's vodka. If you have some, grab it out of your pantry and let's pour together. All right. So we're just going to pour some vodka. Pour as much or as little as you want. I'm just going to pour about that so I don't look ridiculous. All right. And salud, everybody. That's vodka. I prefer mixers, but this is about Ron tonight. So sit back and let's check in with him.
So we are here, and we've got, I would say, world famous ventriloquist Ronn Lucas. How you doing?
Infamous, not famous.
Infamous. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm okay. It's been a long time.
It has.
Did you forget that we used to work together?
No, not at all. It was 5 glorious years.
Wow.
Plus, actually, plus.
It was 5 years, but it was 3 of the happiest years of my life.
I appreciate that.
Anyway, we go back to we started at the Rio.
Yep.
A week after September 11th. Did you know that?
I heard, yes, I do remember that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's how long we've known each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what? Since you bring up Las Vegas, and we met in 2002 when I actually moved there, and my gig at the Rio was doing your show, but you were already there and kind of established. Where we'll kind of go backwards in a minute to your career, but what made Vegas happen? Because you prior to that, for several decades, you were performing all over the world to pretty amazing people.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was in the 80s, 81. I won the San Francisco stand-up comedy competition, and it was the first time it was taped for Showtime. Now remember, there's still only like 3 channels of television, but cable is starting to sneak in. You got Showtime, HBO, and so forth. So now you had a few choices. So I won this national comedy competition. I won the local San Francisco stand-up comedy competition, and then they decided, because it was such a success when they taped it, to do a national laugh-off, which meant that they had to have comedians from other cities. Now, in my thing about San Francisco, I competed for a month. Like 1 or 2 shows a week for a month against about 100 other comics. Okay. And to my great surprise, I won. It really was a surprise. The weirdness, a cat just walked in and it may be eating Billy. I don't know. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Hang on a second. No. You got to go, sweetheart. That's it. Yeah. Daddy's chasing you out. Come on. Oh, God, now I ran behind the desk. Anyway.
We don't edit this show, so.
Yeah, that's what you told me. Yeah. Go on, kitty. Out. There you go. Yeah, because they like, we have 2 cats, and they love to nest in the puppets for some crazy reason.
Okay.
Anyway, so where was? Anyway, so there's the San Francisco laugh-off, and then they handpicked a couple of other comics, and then I suddenly found myself under a lot of pressure because I felt like I had really won something. It took me a month to do it. And then I'm going to go up against the likes of some very unknown comics like Jerry Seinfeld, who is the magician on Night Court, Harry Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
Harry Anderson. and Eddie Murphy, people no one had heard of yet.
Yeah.
But through hip, I don't know exactly what happened that night. I had there was a juggler named Michael Davis. Do you know him?
Name does not ring a bell.
He had won he'd taken second place in the San Francisco stand-up comedy competition the year before. Of course, he wasn't so lucky. It wasn't taped at that time. It was just a big competition, big festival. So he came in second, but he also got picked up by a Broadway producer to be in a show called Broadway Follies.
Okay.
Now, I'm not trying to make this more convoluted. It's just that Michael, one of my best friends, is also one of the most arrogant SOBs I've ever met. And so he went into a Broadway show called Sugar Babies because Broadway Follies opened and closed the same night, and a wonderful Broadway critic named Frank Rich said, "Boy, what a sad thing to have this show open and close, and you have a great act like Michael Davis, and he has nowhere to go except maybe Sugar Babies." So Harry Rigby the next morning gets up. He's the producer, by the way, of Sugar Babies, which is already showing on Broadway. It's a Broadway show. It's a variety show, an old school variety show, burlesque, vaudeville. Mickey Rooney, Ann Miller were the two stars, but it was these old comedy sketches. And he reads his newspaper and goes, "Who the hell is Michael Davis?" And so he auditions him at Hell's Kitchen Improv.
Okay.
And Michael goes into the show and becomes a huge success and gets a Drama Desk Award. So now it's a year later, and Harry Rigby is looking for another star to put into Sugar Babies, someone unknown. And he's one of the judges of my comedy competition, the National Laugh Off in New York City.
Okay.
And so I win that, and he puts me in Sugar Babies. But before that happens, the way I won it was the fact that I was terrified. I knew these other comedians had a great reputation in the comedy world, and there was no way, as a little guy with a puppet, was going to beat them. And so Michael, who's now going to perform while the judges tally, I was the last person on.
Oh, wow.
Out of 5 people, I was going to be the last person on. So Michael comes up to me, and great friend, and says, "There's a lot of people out there, so don't F it up."
Yeah.
And I was stunned, and I just got angry. And I didn't realize that when I get angry, all my nerves go away.
Ah, all right.
So I went out there and killed.
Nice.
I got the job. I won the National Laugh Off, and the next day, I'm in Sugar Babies.
Okay.
So I was in New York for 3 days and landed a Broadway role.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
So, and then I was with that show until about the mid-'80s, and then I went into the Folies Bergère.
Ah, okay.
So I was in the Folies Bergère for about 5 years,
Okay.
and then I would come and go from that until finally they said, "Well, make up your mind, you're coming or going." And at that point, I had the chance to host a variety show in London.
Mm-hmm.
I had done a couple of shows for the Queen, and a good friend of mine, Paul Daniels, had a TV series, and I came and went from that, and I got my own TV series. So I was hosting a variety show.
Yeah.
And that brings us right up to about 1999 when CBS liked some of the Ronn Lucas show, but not all of it. They really liked Scorch, my dragon puppet.
Right.
And so we craft a TV series for Scorch. And Scorch got his own TV series. I was a ventriloquist whose dummy actually took off ahead of me. And it didn't take off. The show, we aired 3 episodes, and they didn't air the next 6 because they had basketball, and then we never came back on the air. So I was preempted by the Lakers.
Are those episodes anywhere, like on YouTube or something?
I got them,
Ah.
and they're somewhere around this house, and I'm still trying to find them. Now they belong to Warner, so I don't know if I can air them illegally. But you know how these things go. You air them until they stop.
Well, so as you mentioned, you're infamous around the world. You've performed for the Queen and all these people. Who is your favorite person that you've performed for, or your most interesting?
Wow. I don't know if I have a favorite. You guys caught me on a bad day. I didn't have I only had 3 cups of coffee today instead of 5 like I was supposed to. I think one of the most interesting things that happened was early on in my career, before I even went to San Francisco, I was touring around for a boys' clothing company called Billy the Kid Boys Wear.
Okay.
So I did shopping center shows. So in order to sort of get some press, I decided that maybe I should try to go to hospitals and see if they needed an entertainer. And I phone up the local newspaper, and in New Orleans, the Times-Picayune picked me up, and they said, "Yeah, sure, we'll come down and watch you perform." And they liked the shopping center show. I got a really good review out of that. But I told them I was going to go to the hospital the next day, and they sent a reporter with me. Well, there was a little girl who was part of that show. This is a whole different era. I mean, you could walk in and say, "Hi, I'm here to perform for the kids," and they would just let you do it. Nowadays there's security to go through, and like I said, it was a much looser environment at that time. But I mean, I did have someone phone ahead and say, would you like to have a free show in the afternoon, in the children's ward? So this one little girl was wheeled in, and she was very grumpy looking, but she was adorable. I mean, she had this little page boy kind of haircut, and she was blonde with a bow, and she was frowning at everything. And when I started performing, she started laughing. In fact, she started laughing so hard it was distracting me and the other people I was performing for. But the hospital staff was like, I mean, their jaws were dropping. They're looking at her. It's like they'd never seen a kid laugh before. So when the whole thing was over, I came over with a puppet. I had the precursor of Billy, another cowboy puppet.
Okay.
And talked with her for a little bit. And then they pulled me aside and they said that this little girl had a huge tragedy. She was in a car wreck. It had destroyed her family. She no longer had a mom or dad or siblings. And she had not talked or spoken in about 3 or 4 weeks. And the fact that she was even laughing at all was sort of a breakthrough moment. And I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
And then they said, "She's not eating. Do you think you could get her to eat?"
Oh, my God.
And I said, "I'll try." I walked over and I talked with her with the puppet for a few moments and said, "They say you're not eating." And he said, "I don't eat because I'm made of sawdust and glue, but you're a human being and you're supposed to eat." And the feedback that came back later was that she started eating that night.
Oh, my gosh.
So I don't think I have a favorite person I perform for, but I have some memories that nobody's ever going to take away from me.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Little tear-inducing.
Yeah. You made me cry, so thanks. All right.
So I know a lot of the people that are going to be watching this know all about you, but there's also going to be some people that have watched some of our other episodes that are like, "Well, let's check this out," and maybe they don't.
Sure.
So how long have you been a ventriloquist, and what got you started into it?
Oh, okay. I started when I was 7. I was hit in the head by a meteorite, and I've been hearing and doing voices pretty much ever since. Nobody wants to believe the truth.
Oh, Lord.
Have you seen my new business card?
No.
It says ventriloquism, a dying art, and I'm helping to kill it.
Nice. Oh, Lord. So you've done this for so long then. Is there anything else that you haven't done that you want to do, or somewhere you want to go that you haven't been?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Have you seen me perform, ma'am?
I have not, actually. I saw you.
You have not.
I saw you on Nip Tuck.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, that's where I was introduced to you. So
that was pretty weird.
Yeah, we
was
were
what 2006, I think.
Yeah.
We were talking one day, and this was before we set up the interview, and I was talking about my days at the Rio and how much fun I had with you and all the different places we got to go. And she's like, "I don't know that I've ever heard." And I said, "Well, he did because I knew she was a Nip Tuck fan. I said, "Well, he did an episode of Nip Tuck." And she goes, "We're the puppet, and he wanted to be the puppet." I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh."
Yeah.
Does your audience know what a relationship is?
No.
No. I had a show at the Rio as an afternoon show. I was trying so hard to get a night show, and I was offered an afternoon show, and I took it. And this lovely gentleman became my production stage manager.
That's right. And lighting, and not only the 5 years at the Rio, but we went to a lot of cool places. We went to the Bahamas twice against your what was not better judgment, but you just didn't want to do it. I remember that whole. It was so funny. But in San Francisco,
I did a lot of corporate bookings, a lot of private shows at that time, and corporates have pretty much gone away.
Yeah.
But at that time, IBM, Motorola, and car companies would hire entertainers to come and perform while they had these giant meetings. And Darrell and I asked him. I said, "You know what? You're a really good PSM. Would you like to call my show? Could you set it up with a sound and lighting guy so I don't have to do all that I can just focus on performing and getting some material out. And he said, yeah, sure. So eventually I had to pay him. That was okay. It was.
And paid well, I must say. Not a stingy entertainer. I will say that.
Yeah, don't tell Mary, she's listening.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we go back quite a ways. To 2002. Yeah.
And the last time I think I performed was about 2016 at the
Suncoast.
Suncoast, yeah. And did you do my show at that time?
Yep, I was with you there. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that was the last time we actually physically saw each other.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing during that whole time, since like the last time we saw you, and clearly during this pandemic, have you been doing anything or?
I've been working. I had a TV idea that I worked on for a while. It's still being noodled around. In fact, I have a development deal. I had a development deal with ABC, and they held on for a couple of months. And then suddenly they needed money to buy something stupid called Marvel.
Oh, yes.
The ABC Disney. So they dropped all, not just my show idea, but all the things that were in development just got dropped, thrown in the waste can. So the rights reverted back to me as of December of last year.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of still working on it. But now the premise is called Judge Dummy. It's me as Judge Judy as a guy, and the puppet on the bench. I did some posters called Law Without Lips. The cases are real. The dragon, not so much. Things like that. But we shot a little pilot, and it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. Okay. And Mary didn't like it at all and said, you need to ditch this idea. But I keep thinking it's a good idea. And so I showed it to some comics who appealed to me, and they said, oh, this is an easy fix. You're trying to be the judge. It should be Scorch the whole time.
Yeah.
Basically, you're just holding him back. He's running this courtroom, and he's running it crazy. Not by the rules, not by anything. So I think we're going to change the name to Dragon Court.
Okay.
Or Court of Dragons or something like that. And we're going to try to find the most bizarre cases we could. We had some pretty funny cases. We had one case that was based on, we had to do a mock-up video. And one case was based on what really happened in Las Vegas. I overheard the story where a guy had a bachelor party at a strip club, a gentleman's club.
Yeah.
And he was responsible for staying sober and getting all of his guys home. But he had no cash left. So when he went to break a 20, nobody would break it. So he saw a dancer dancing, and he put the 20 in her G-string and took out 2 10s. So the court she was suing him for the money that he owed her.
Oh my goodness!
Even though there was no money owed, because it was an even exchange.
Even though there was exactly. But she was insulted and offended. So and of course in this I'm trying to explain to Scorch, what this means. And I think in the future version, Scorch would know automatically what it means. So we're it's funny if you go back online and look at like the opening when Star Wars first started, George Lucas patched it together and showed it to some of his UCLA or USC film buddies, and they said this isn't working, and they helped him. So sometimes things really go through a development process.
Yeah.
So I did run it past Netflix, and they said, we think this is a great idea, a ventriloquist on a bench. So we want to see 10 finished episodes.
Oh boy. Okay.
And then we'll decide if we want to buy it or not. So that's the world we've come to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to somehow do a 10 or 15 or 20-minute episodes, 10 of them on my own money.
Okay.
So I mean I'm still trying to figure out what to do there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I've been doing, and I've been working ridiculously exclusively for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines.
Nice.
All right.
Except they're not sailing.
They're
right
not
now.
sailing.
No, they're not doing anything right now.
I don't want to say I told you so, but I told Mary. I just got an email about an hour ago from my agent, my ship's agent, and she said exactly what I said back in March. I told Mary, I said, if they send me home, which they did, they sent everybody home in mid-March. I said, this isn't going to resolve itself for 6 months. So it's going to be September before maybe anything starts to happen. And I said, so, batten down the hatches and be really close to the bone with the credit cards. And that's what we've been doing, we haven't been suffering.
Yeah.
But I qualified for Social Security.
Okay.
I'm 66. That's not an age. That's a highway between Chicago and Los Angeles.
You should watch our Out and About show that's on our YouTube, because we did Route 66 in northern Arizona. It's on the same YouTube channel, so you got to check it out.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's called Out and About with DNA.
It's fun.
DNA.
That's really I got so sidetracked. I forgot where I was headed on this. I remember now. The lady from Social Security. I did the whole interview on the phone because of the COVID crisis.
Right.
The Corona crisis, whatever you want to call it, COVID-16. And she summoned up my computer. I'm on the phone listening, and she goes, "Oh my, you've been working since 1972." And I had to think about it. I thought, yeah, I graduated high school, and that night I didn't go to a party because I was working as a hospital orderly in a nursing home.
Oh wow.
And I had to go straight to work there. And I've taken vacations like 4 days, 5 days, maybe as much as 10 days, but I've always wanted to take a couple of months off.
Yeah.
And I was always afraid to do that because as an entertainer, you never know where your next check is coming from.
Right.
That's true.
And I got to be honest.
Yeah.
I've been the luckiest guy in the world. I've never not worked. I've always found work. Never. Sometimes it wasn't what I wanted, but I always found employment.
Right.
So when this happened, I saw the irony in the situation. I knew for sure I was going to have 3 months off, which is what I've always dreamed of having.
Yeah.
And nowhere to go.
Yeah. You could have gone anywhere in the world, traveled as long as you wanted, and you can't.
And I got thousands of frequent flyer points, and I can't use them. I mean, I can, but I'm running a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So we have a viewer question for you.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So Matt from Massachusetts wants to know, he says, "Ron, your Disney special is requested as often as any Pixar movie in our home. It's perfect. Could you tell us how it came about and how you developed such a well-rounded set for that format?"
Thank you. By the way, thanks a lot, Matt. We sell that on eBay. Of all the things that I have, I don't know how this happened, but Disney Channel, that's my first TV special, and Disney Channel sold it back to me.
Okay.
Everybody looks stunned, like Disney would do that?
Yeah.
Well, they did. Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't cheap, but they sold it back to me. So now my wife and I sell it on eBay. So thanks a lot, Matt. If you want a clean copy, look up Mary Openshaw Lucas on eBay, or Who's in Charge Here. Who's in Charge Here was actually a part of a trilogy, and we only got the first one shot. There was a fledgling thing called Disney Channel, brand new. A man by the name of David Kirkpatrick was the president. My manager at the time approached him about doing a comedy special. They didn't really have a set format. And they said, yeah, sure, I think that's a great idea. And if we like it, we'll buy 2 more. So I had a stand-up comedy routine that I had developed in San Francisco, and that became the basis. But it had to be squeaky clean because it was for kids. It's funny, I came up with what I thought was the way to go about it, and apparently that's exactly what Disney does. You actually aim it for adults.
Okay.
So they can enjoy it with their kids.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So I always thought of myself, I always never thought I was a children's entertainer. I thought I was childlike, not childish.
Okay.
With the characters I had.
Yeah.
So it hit me one day. I don't know what happened. Someone was kidding me, and I had Billy with me. He's around here somewhere if you guys want to see him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But he hit me one day that everybody treats him like he's real, and I'm the only one who knows he isn't. So there's a reversal on, the whole dummy coming to life thing.
Right.
Is the fact that what if everybody thought he was real except the ventriloquist? And that's how that evolved. The opening scene of Who's in Charge Here is a network official negotiating with Billy sitting in a chair like this. And he's trying to get Billy to react, and when Billy can't, he's perspiring. And so he says, okay, with after figures, 500,000, 700,000, $1 million. And at that moment, I walk into the meeting late because I can't find the place. And I pick Billy up and I said, what's going on here? And Billy goes, just say the word yes. And I go, yes. And the guy goes, thank you. And he hugs us both and leaves. So that's how that started. So the whole thing became how to control I guess I was really inspired by Peter Sellers being there.
Okay.
Have you seen that movie?
A long time ago, but yes.
It's about how people can take the behavior of a young guy. Basically, he was, I mean, I don't want to use any harsh words. He was not a very bright person. He was an idiot. He was a gardener that the owner of this house had somehow adopted. No one even knew he existed. He gave him a place to stay, and he was not a bright man. And when the owner died, he was highly wealthy. They assumed he was the son, and they started treating him like a wealthy person because he was very slow to think. He was very slow to react. And he'd say things like, well, the garden may be dying, but if the roots are strong, it will come back. And people are kind of going, oh, that's great investment advice. and it was really an interesting movie because it was how his behavior didn't change, but their attitude towards him changed tremendously. All he had to do was put on a three-piece suit.
Yeah.
And they thought he was very wise. And so I started getting the idea that, what would happen if Billy is just sitting there and people interpret that as being an action. And we had a scene where a guy's selling merchandise and Billy's sitting in a chair like this. And he goes, what do you think of this? Oh, yeah, I don't like it either. Okay, what do you think of this? Yeah, I can see the smile. I can see the, yeah. And he leaves. And Billy hasn't done anything. So I hope I'm giving you some good backstory, Matthew. Thank you so much for buying Who's in Charge here. And as I said, there's still copies out there. We had another one called Here We Go Again, and by that time David Kirkpatrick left the Disney Channel, and the next regime came in, like they do in all sorts of scenarios, and they didn't pick it up. And then Disney Channel eventually started making their own sitcoms, and they got away from doing comedy specials. Mm-hmm. But they did for a long time have something called Mickey's Vault. Mm-hmm. And they pull these at night, they pull these old things from Disney Channel out, and they'd show it. So I got like a 10-year run of this. And at first it bothered me because I didn't have anything to replace it with. Mm. And then I realized, wait, here's the magic of this new format. You can show it over and over and over again, and another generation's going to pick it up and run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember at the Rio, because there were quite a few times where when the show was done,
we sold it at the Rio, remember?
Yeah. But I just remember every once in a while I would kind of stand in the theater as everybody was exiting, and they would go through the gift shop area to buy stuff and get pictures signed by you and everything. And I mean, that's the one thing that I remember. That was one of my first dealings with an artist or an entertainer in Las Vegas, where a lot of them they finished the show, they went off stage, and you never saw them again. And these people would come out, and there you were, and you were signing free pictures and talking to them and taking pictures with them and stuff.
I did free autographs. I did free autographs. Yeah. I said that from the stage. Yeah.
And all these, and as I would kind of listen to a lot of people, they would all talk about, when I was a kid, I saw him on the Disney Channel, and I was so excited when we saw that he was performing here and stuff. It was mind blowing that was the catalyst of everybody knowing who you were. They see your billboard, they knew immediately who that was and where that was from.
Coincidentally, when that aired, I'm trying to think when it was just when people started buying home VCRs.
Okay.
And people taped everything.
Yeah.
And so the thing I would hear the most as I'm signing a VHS and then later a DVD versions, they'd say, "Oh, we taped your show." I said, "Really?" "Yeah, and the dog ate it." Or I gave it to the preschool, and I never saw it again. So we still to this day we sell a lot of it to Utah. Go figure.
To Utah.
Yes. Okay. God bless my LDS friends.
There you go. There you go. So where is Billy, and is Scorch around there someplace? Anybody else that you can show us real quick?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. When we spoke yesterday to set this up, Scorch, I forgot Scorch is in the shop.
He's in the shop. Okay.
He's with you guys.
Ah, okay. Oh,
yes.
Yeah,
he's in Vegas.
So using that guy. Vegas. Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, we'll put a picture of Scorch up so everybody can see Scorch the Dragon.
Did someone say me? This is really embarrassing. Ron, what? Now? Could you excuse me just a moment?
Absolutely.
What the heck? I have been sitting here in this trunk for weeks. No, months. I've been sitting in here for months. What the hell is going on? Some sort of a quarantine?
Billy!
Who? I know him.
How you doing? It's been a while.
Darrell. What? It's Darrell. No, that's not it. Who's he with?
That's Andrea.
Hi.
Andrea, hi.
Nice
Now,
to
I know
meet you.
her. You've
I'm so
never met
forgettable.
Andrea. What? No, she visited the Trump once. Billy, yes. No. Darrell, I'm kidding. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
High four.
I see you're not graying or anything. You still got that beautiful fire-ish orange hair and everything.
Yes, I do.
That's awesome.
Where did you get the hair? It came with the head. Yeah. Billy was when I was younger. I remember I talked about the boys' clothing company called Billy the Kid Boys Wear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I built a puppet which was sort of like the precursor of this one. And then when I left Billy the Kid, I thought I want to continue with the puppet look because you've got a very large mouth. Look at me. Say and I thought, even if they can't see my lips, they can see his.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was way ahead of the curve because there's a lot of ventriloquists who are using little wooden dummies with tiny, tiny little mouths, and they can only play little clubs that seated 100 or 200 people. But I could do a room with 1,800 people, and everybody could at least see Billy.
Yeah. Very
They
true.
couldn't see you? Yeah, sometimes they couldn't see my lips. Easy gig, Ronn. Yeah. Yeah, it's gotten easier since I had to wear a surgical mask.
Yes.
Right.
I saw your Facebook post about that. Yeah.
Yeah, anyone's a ventriloquist.
But you don't need to have one, Billy. So that's awesome.
No, I really don't. It's because I do not respirate. No droplet infections? No, none of that stuff. Yeah. I stick cotton and foam.
Sounds healthy.
Actually,
I think we all. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we all will in about 4 years.
Yeah.
We'll be spitting it out with all these masks and stuff we got to wear.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. You look good.
Well, thank you. So do you.
Yeah.
You haven't
Thank you,
aged a
thank you.
day.
Crazy like that, isn't it? His poor hat's gotten all beaten up. The people have manhandled the trunk, and his head's been thrown around quite a bit. So I got to get a new hat for Billy.
Ah,
And
okay.
that's pretty much he's holding up very well.
Yeah.
Squirts, on the other hand, is made of foam latex.
Right.
And probably has to now that he's almost 25, 30 years old.
Yeah.
He's almost got to be painted every time I perform with him.
Wow. Yeah.
All the oils and acids in your fingers will discolor him.
Yeah.
So that's why everybody wants to touch him. And I wore like surgical gloves or cotton gloves, photo gloves, just to sort of send a message that maybe we shouldn't be touching Squirch.
Right.
Kind of stuff.
Right.
Hmm.
Well,
Now,
man.
Billy, on the other hand, is easy. He's pretty easy to work. Yeah. Still here.
Still easy. Well, I got to say,
She's cute.
she is very cute. Yeah.
Aw.
Stop. Killjoy. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. It's been great catching up. We got to do it more often. And
Is it done? Is it over? I just got here. Son of a bitch. This sucks. I just got here. And he's with this hot chick. This is not fair. I want my agent. Where's your other hand? Oh, what? Is it? Wait, is this social distancing?
Oh goodness.
Well, we got to go though.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you, Billy, for coming,
Sure thing.
coming out of the trunk and
Yeah.
and spending a little bit of time with us. We appreciate it.
I'm not gay, but I am out of the trunk.
Anything you would like to wrap up with? Any projects that might be coming down the pipe once this is all done? That performing anywhere?
I've been working with Dimitri Chaplin. He was the dancer from Dancing with the Stars. This is a friend of Mary's.
Okay.
And we've also come up with a TV show idea that I think is a really good idea.
Okay.
And we just started pitching it. And we are here in Hollywood and people are actually taking pitch meetings.
Fantastic.
Good.
So
Great.
and it's about dancing. It started off as a wonderful idea about he would teach maybe the first wedding dance.
Oh, okay.
and his idea would be to call it First Dance. And I said, why don't we just call it the Dance of Joy? And we could go to anyone who needs us. We'd have a whole team of people, just like the kind of people who put together refurbishing houses or Queer Eye, the whole team there. We have a team of people to help you get through a dance crisis.
Love it.
So maybe it's a prom, or maybe it's a group of kids who want to learn to dance.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 50th wedding anniversary, and the couple hasn't danced, or maybe she's in a wheelchair. How do we? So the whole idea is, and of course we'll go through this backstory, but the whole idea is to try to create a scenario where this person's able to do a dance and surprise the family.
That's awesome.
And I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm pretty gung ho about that. So I'm always trying to produce.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's great.
Well, thank you. Thanks for spending time with us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Billy.
Darrell?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have a staring contest. We'll see who blinks first. Go.
For 5 years, I lost every time. 6 days a week. You're the king.
I knew it wasn't going to fall for it again. Andrew, it's very nice meeting you.
You as well.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Well, that wraps up another edition of Conversations at the Rock Bar. A heartfelt thank you very much to my good friend Ronn Lucas and Buffalo Billy for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks. And make sure you check out our other episodes if you haven't seen them already. We're planning on talking to a lot more people and having a lot more fun, making a lot more drinks. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.